People all over the internet are giving their reactions to the Sherrone Moore Michigan firing scandal. One of the most interesting statements is coming from the actual DoorDash driver that delivered the Plan B pill to Sherrone Moore's office.
Who knew that Michigan football would be dismantled by a DoorDash driver and one of their former quarterbacks? As you know, Michigan coach Moore was fired for cause for having an illicit affair with a staffer and allegedly paid for her abortion. This is the woman, Paige Shiver, executive assistant to the head football coach. So this man right here, a former Michigan quarterback, tweeted, "Coach Moore is cheating on his wife with a football department employee. Fire Moore and clueless liar DEI Warday, the athletic director who's working overtime to cover this up." Here she is. 9 million views on this tweet. He said, "U of M scandal is being uncovered by DEI, athletic director Warday Manuel, and the board of trustees. Coach Moore, first-time head coach, and DEI hire, impregnated office employee, all actively covered up by the above. Fire all of them, clean it up, including hiring by skin color and not merit." People didn't believe him, saying this was fake Buckeye propaganda. He had to tell them, "I don't have any connection with OSU. In fact, I was a Michigan quarterback. I'm a Michigan man, and I still have reliable sources in A2. He's answering people, "How you know, WTF?" He says, "I'm an ex-scholarship quarterback and still have sources in Ann Arbor." Robert Carrion put his politics above his alma mater. Thank you, Robert Carrion. Is an Ohio State fan. Scott Hughes reports the University of Michigan's investigation into Coach Moore's inappropriate relationship began shortly after they received an anonymous tip from a DoorDash driver, which stated he personally delivered Plan B to Moore's office.
But this story has so many different layers to it that people are asking, did Michigan already know? And if so, when did they actually find out?
In college football circles, this was not a closely held secret. There was a lot of smoke, a lot of innuendo, but you all aren't in the business of reporting that. So I guess what I'm going to ask as it relates to this dismissal and the investigation is, when was it that Michigan really felt like they might be in the business of needing to find a new head coach?
The fact that the college football world knew about this is not surprising. These affairs are going on all the time. And I'm not being hyperbolic. It's happening all the time. And the media constantly knows about it. And the organizations constantly know about it. So the athletes that you're seeing get on and sort of a virtue signal about how he's really let his family down, and he's really, a lot of that is just them putting on a performance for their families. They've kept quiet about these kinds of things happening when it's their teammates or their coaches or somebody in their organization or whatever else. What is unique is Sherrone Moore's response to it. Threatening violence to himself and others. Like that part is unique. When Dan Wetzel says that they just started an investigation in the last week or so after the Ohio State game, that's whatever.
You're right about if he was performing better at Michigan, I don't know if this happens. Mm-hmm. They may sweep this under the rug. Inappropriate relationship, we're going to suspend you for whatever, but they're dead wrong for having them kids sign there. They was recruiting my nephew, offered him all kind of money. If I'm Bryce Underwood, I'm up out of there. Mm-hmm. We done gave this man all this money to turn around and hand the ball off 35 times a game, scared to throw it. Mm-hmm. But I don't feel sorry for Sherrone Moore. Why would I? Why would I?
Not him. It's the wife I feel sorry for.
The kids?
Yeah. And the wife.
I feel sorry for the kids.
Yeah.
Because...
You didn't mention the wife.
I feel sorry for the kids.
Uh-oh. Oh, snap.
She's an adult. They innocent. Like... She understands her husband. You know who you married.
Nope.
And so the adults, I don't feel sorry for no adult involved. I feel sorry. The woman that he was messing with, you ain't know he was married? You ain't meet his wife?
Bro, they follow each other on social.
That's what I'm saying.
Wait. One perspective on the Sherrone Moore situation, because I'm shocked, but the more that I read and listen to, it sounds like people in the know are not shocked. People in the know knew this was going down for a few months. I was a player on the 2015 USC team that let Steve Sarkisian go midseason for cause. And the one thing that people underestimate in this is a college football head coach is the one position in our society, maybe outside of the president of the United States, which I'm not trying to get political here, but the one position where everyone around the head coach is incentivized to see them have success. And you might be like, well, Max, what about the CEO of a company? No, because if a CEO of a company gets fired, the next man up directly benefits because that CEO got fired. That's not the case for an offensive or defensive coordinator, because one, if they tattle, they're viewed as going above their head coach's head. So you never want to do that. But even if they get the interim job, more often than not, the school brings in a new staff, so then their career is screwed. So no coach is incentivized to say anything about the head coach. No player is incentivized to ever say anything about the head coach, because they get one crack at their college football experience. If the head coach fails, that directly screws up their college football experience. No administrator or athletic director is ever incentivized to, get a head coach in trouble, because that makes them look bad. They're the one that hired the head coach. And so it creates this system around the head coach where, in a weird way, they can kind of be on an island by themselves. And
The whole Sherrone Moore firing is actually insane. Now, Sherrone Moore was fired from Michigan yesterday, but there is legitimately a whole backstory to this firing. Now, it is speculated that this firing came after the school found out that he was having a full-on affair with the administrative specialist. And honestly, we probably shouldn't be surprised, and we probably should have saw this coming, because her salary legitimately doubled in 1 year from 2023 to 2024. But it doesn't just stop there. The college apparently knew all this was going on, but they did not want to make any of this public until after National Signing Day. And Sherrone was also saying that he would endanger himself and others after all this was found out. I think Michigan football at this point needs to be looked into, because, man, there are a lot of cheaters coming out of this place. No wonder Harbaugh got out of there as quick as possible. I believe at this point, all this will affect the college from a recruiting standpoint, because there is something fishy going on at this school. Sherrone Moore has now been arrested and obviously is no longer the head coach at Michigan.
There have been talk and whispers about this for weeks, if not longer. This is not something that surprised a lot of people around the Michigan football program.
Shannon Sharpe, who was not only fired but also went through his own scandal, gave his perspective on the situation.
I can imagine 6-7 months ago I went through something very similar, so I know what that storm is like.
Yes, sir.
And unless you've been in it, that's why when people say, this is what I would do, you don't know what you would do until you in it. Until you're in that pressure cooker, until you in the eye of the storm.
Yes, sir.
Until you in. Okay, you and I have had a conversation. So
Yes, sir.
I know. Mm-hmm. To be in that storm, and
Crazy.
to know everybody know everything that you worked your entire life for.
Mm-hmm.
You feel it like it's crumbling right before your eyes. I mean, everybody look. It's kind of it. Look, and I understand the situation, but if you're married and you engage in an inappropriate relationship, why would you do that? You married. Everybody always say, well, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Well, if you thought you was going to get caught, if you thought something was going to go wrong, you wouldn't do it.
I actually think that we are just scratching the surface on this situation. I actually think that there are more stories that are going to come from this. But what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Jasmine Crockett announced in a campaign launch video, laced with insults from Donald Trump, that she is running for U.S. Senate.
How about this new one they have, their new star, Crockett? How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett! Oh, man, oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Naturally, her supporters had a lot of positive remarks to say about this in the comment section. If Trump is speaking your name, it's because he's scared of you. We love a leftist baddie. And some people even skipped the Senate and went straight to the presidency. She has my vote, Jasmine Crockett for president. Running for Senate is one thing. Winning is a whole different ballgame. As a matter of fact, USA Today released an opinion piece by Nicole Russell saying Jasmine Crockett has no shot of winning Texas State Senate. I can't imagine the Democratic Party actually thinks Crockett will win a state Senate race in this state. She's not beating Senator John Cornyn, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, or Representative Wesley Hunt. If the Democratic primary shakeup in Texas is any indication, the party's future doesn't look good. And the reactions from people on social media was kind of mixed.
We are watching in real time the way that this country forces black women to uphold a higher standard and forces them to meet higher requirements in order to see support when running for political office. This is the exact same thing that happened to Kamala Harris. This is why women like Michelle Obama have said that they're not going to run for political office. And this is what's happening to Jasmine Crockett right now, where one vote that she has made in her time as a representative is enough for a lot of white leftists to say, oh, can't support her. She's not a good progressive. I'm seeing people who are saying that she's not a progressive, despite the fact that she's been fighting for marginalized groups the entire time she's been in office. She's been fighting for working people the entire time she's been in office. And by every metric, she's a fantastic candidate. She's willing to get in Republicans' faces and call them out on their bullshit and on their hypocrisy. She's not afraid to mix it in with them. She's incredibly outspoken. She's incredibly intelligent, incredibly well educated. By every metric, she is the perfect candidate that you want to see when you want progressive candidates, when you want more progressive candidates to run. But I'm watching so many leftists who are seeing one vote that she has made and saying, oh, can't support her. She's done the unspeakable thing. She's done the unforgivable sin, and that unforgivable sin is voting for one bill that was going to help that country down there in the Middle East that I can't say. Even though they're perfectly willing to forgive other progressive candidates who just so happen to look like me for doing similar things or saying similar things to her. But no. A black woman saying it? Nope, can't do it. That's an unforgivable sin.
Jasmine Crockett is running for U.S. Senate for Texas. I have to laugh because talk about a politician that doesn't know how to read the room. She can't read the room. Like, come on, bro. You lost your congressional district. And now you want to run for Senate? Dude, Texas is red to the bone. Red. But okay. Sure.
Really excited to talk about this as a Texan. Jasmine Crockett is running against James Tallarico for the Democratic primary for Texas Senate, and I think there's a lot of information that's coming out, so I really want to dive into this. The first thing I want to talk about is there has been a lot of anti-primary sentiment. I'm already seeing a lot of conversations around why is Jasmine Crockett running, or why is James Tallarico running? And what needs to be said is that this is our opportunity to make demands of our politicians. Because this is a primary race for the Texas Senate, that means that one of these two will represent Texas in the national level. That means we get to make demands of both of them before they hit before they run against John Cornyn, whose seat they're running for. Now, the two biggest criticisms that I'm seeing from both of them is one, that James Tallarico does not have the ability to bring about a diverse crowd. I will say, as somebody who's attended many of his events that he's hosted in Austin, he's come here frequently. I've had the ability to attend through my university, and he has announced his candidacy for this position before Jasmine Crockett. They've been very diverse crowds. I'm not gonna hold you. They've been pretty diverse crowds, especially for a state like Texas, especially when he's pushing a lot of anti-establishment politician, a lot of anti-PAC money. He is specifically talking about going after billionaires, specifically Elon Musk. This is very particular to Texas because of Elon Musk's role in the finances of Texas. But that has been part of his biggest criticism. While Jasmine Crockett, part of her biggest criticism has been her support of Israel. Now, I will say I don't believe she's taking any PAC money, but she has supported Israel in her votes. But that's the unique opportunity we have here because of the primary process, is to demand things from our politicians. If you are a Texan who feels like any one of the issues that these two are representing aren't enough for you, push them on it. Go to their town halls that they host. Go to these events and say, why do you support X, Y, or Z, and I want to see something different. Or make videos about it. I think you guys don't realize how effective social media has become in pushing these candidates to do what you want them to do.
But what do you think? Can Jasmine Crockett beat not only James Tallarico in the primary, but ultimately win the U.S. Senate? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Are people gatekeeping healthy relationship advice?
It's also on the internet. It said happily married people will always gatekeep because if they told you the things they do, you'll call the women pick-me's and the men's simps. And it's true. I get called a simp all the time. And I am. I'm simply in love. I'm simply happily married. I'm simply with my best friend, the love of my life. And what you call me don't impact me. And I learned that before social media. I remember in a marriage class at my church, I'm talking about year one, I had, shared that Melissa paid the bills. Because I had paid the bills by myself when I lived in my own apartment. But when we got together, it was my bills plus her bills plus the house bills. And I was getting flustered. I was like, ooh, And I was like, listen, I'm gonna just put the money in the joint account. You take care of the bills. She was like, bet. And she did it. I remember I was talking about that. One of the deacons was like, you ain't no real man if you don't pay no bills. That was the first simp. You ain't no real man. You ain't no real man if you don't pay the bills. When I came back from Nam, I paid all the bills. And I said, yeah, you right, Deke. And went home and did exactly what I was doing. Because the truth is, what worked in his household, worked in his household. What worked in mine, worked in mine. And
Most of you already know KevOnStage, and as soon as he posted this video, I went straight to his comment section. Thanks for sharing this, because social media is getting wild nowadays. People wanting stuff without knowing what marriage really is. My wife pays the bills. I hate math, and she's great at it. It just makes sense. We definitely gatekeep because it ain't nobody's business but ours. When I went down the wormhole, I found out that there were a lot of people who felt the exact same way.
So I saw a creator on here talking about and asking, why do happily married couples, happily married women gatekeep their marriages? And I'll say this year my husband and I will be married 15 years. And I know for me personally, I started to gatekeep my marriage when the continuous comments about us not really being happy, people asking, are you sure you're happy? I had an older woman a year or so into our marriage ask if we're still happy. And I said, yes, we are. We love each other, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, we'll see. Also, I have a YouTube channel, and we started vlogging our journey, being married, also believing God for children, and the comments that were coming from people that we knew, unfortunately, was not quite nice. We found out that we were the topic of some group chats. And also, like, oh, there's no way they're that happy, blah, blah, blah. I remember my husband bought me a car. That was a conversation, all those things. And so eventually we started to just close up. We started to keep things to ourselves, and because it honestly, it was very discouraging. It wasn't fun. Like, you're supposed to celebrate happiness and marriage and all those things. And, when you're constantly hearing conversations or whatever about, they faking, they such and such, they blah, blah, blah. It's like, you're like, you know what? All right, let me just stay here in my bubble. So yeah, we gatekeep. We definitely gatekeep. I know now, as we've gotten older, we do share things here and there because we're both on social media. And, I think it's important to show healthy relationships, healthy marriages, healthy, happy families. But there are certain things that we still gatekeep because people are weird. And some people are just very unhappy in their relationships and the things that they don't have or they wish they had. So instead of celebrating, they choose to comment negatively. So, I gatekeep a little bit. We gatekeep a little bit. But, we're finding that balance again, of course, to show, that there are happy marriages out there. So 15 years in, and that's my best friend.
The reason why you don't hear about healthy relationships anymore is because of the fact that those of us in healthy relationships ain't got shit to say to y'all. Because anytime we tell you what we do for our husband or what our husband does for us, y'all look for any reason to try to come up with some type of excuse or some type of narrative that we're being controlled or that we're not really happy or I would never do that. It's exactly why your miserable ass is still single, and exactly why no matter who you try to date or what you try to date, you still end up unhappy because you have this long list of what you feel like is supposed to come from a relationship, yet you don't want to be able to, like, you just want to be on the receiving end. Relationships are give and take. I can't remember the last time that I did laundry. But I will be out here taking the trash out because I don't give a fuck. I would rather take the trash out than to be downstairs doing laundry. I don't want to. I don't like laundry. But if I tell y'all, oh, yeah, I take the trash out. What? You take the trash out? You're a woman. You shouldn't be taking out the trash. That's a man's job. Your man does the laundry? You should be doing that. You're the woman. Like, when it comes to a healthy relationship, there is no gender roles. I do what I want to do and he does what he wants to do. And it ends up working out together because I do. And it just so happens that what he doesn't like to do, I don't mind doing.
But what do you think? Is it a good idea for couples to gatekeep information that keeps their relationship healthy? Or is hiding your relationship a red flag? Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoy this type of content, be sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you're notified each and every time I upload a new video. I upload new videos to this channel every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. With all that being said, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. You guys have a good one.